Howdy campers, I am the Mighty Plantain. Thanks for checking out this week's beer review. What we're looking at today is the 2016 Beer Camp Across America Variety Pack from Sierra Nevada and 30 other breweries. Really loving this. They've done this for a few years now. Sierra Nevada basically teams up with breweries across America and collaborates to produce several unique beers. One year they actually did 12 different varieties in the 12 pack, and that was just plain awesome because you got 12 beers in there, 12 distinct beers in the 12 pack, and I don't think I've ever seen that before or since. This year we're just doing 6, but still sounds like 6 very solid beers. I actually had to write them down, couldn't remember them all, and this is the order we're going to be tasting them in. Pretty sure I've got them lined up based on the different beer styles. We're going to go with Sweet Sunny South, which is a table beer that's going up first. And then we're going to follow that with the Patriot, play on words there. It's a revolutionary pale ale. Now it doesn't mention anything about being particularly hoppy, so I'm going to assume it's just a pale ale that's not heavily hopped. Then we're going to go to West Latitude, which is a session rye, and Stout of the Union, which is a robust stout. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. I would have normally put a stout before a brown ale, but the next one here is Family Values, which is an Imperial brown ale, and Imperial browns tend to have a taste that'll overpower a stout, if I believe correctly. So I'm a little dubious about that lineup, but I'm pretty sure I got that right. And then, of course, the final one is Moxie, which is an Imperial Session IPA. So hopefully that lineup is correct, and I don't do anything to wreck my taste buds in the meantime, with one beer being worse than another. We're going to cleanse with water in between, of course. So anyway, without any further ado, let's check out Sweet Sunny South, which is a table beer. And yeah, I don't think I've ever really been disappointed by a beer in the beer camp packs either, so that's a good thing. While I'm pouring this out, make sure to hit me up down below with a like and a share, and subscribe as well. That way you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. Hopefully you're getting some value out of it. It's taking the mystery out of your local beer cooler, and look at that. That is a very effervescent beer, very bubbly, and it's pink. I mean, that is distinctly a pink beer. So that makes me think that there might be some heavy citrus flavors in here, probably grapefruit. A little bit of bitterness in the aroma, nothing really fruity or anything though. But I mean, this is bubbling like a soda more than a beer, so that's interesting. It's very easy to drink. It's got a medium light mouthfeel. Maybe slightly fruity and citrusy, with a bit of a overall hoppy bitterness. No real distinct flavors coming through for me on that one, but it is a nice solid beer, and it's very refreshing. I mean, it's been a really hot, sticky day today, and this is very crisp and refreshing, and it's actually kind of cooling me down a bit. I'm going to hit this with a 3 out of 5. It's not really impressing me or coming forward with any great flavors. It's just kind of an overall decent beer, slightly above average in how it's just very drinkable and a little bit fruity, but very pleasant, crisp, and refreshing. So that really kind of pushes it up a little bit above average for me. So great beer. I'm going to finish this one off, and we'll do the next one. All right, beer number 2 is the Patriot Revolutionary Pale Ale. Again, this is another sticking point in the lineup. If this happens to be a hoppy pale ale, there's not a lot of mention of that, though. I could be tasting these out of order, but here's hoping that it's not too hoppy. It's another fairly effervescent and bubbly beer. It's a little bit cloudy. Well, it's got a pale yellowish color that kind of darkens to a honey golden up at the top there. I might be in trouble. I'm getting a lot of hops off of this. Piney and earthy. A lot of hop aroma, not too heavy on the hop taste. That's another medium light mouthfeel beer. That pininess and earthiness from the hops is really carrying through in the taste. It's fading fairly quickly, but like I said, it's not cloyingly heavy. So I think if I do a lot of cleansing with water, I should be good for the next beer, not to be overpowered. Because it's not hugely hoppy, but it is moderately hoppy. It's got a decent malt backbone that's really holding up well on the hops. Pretty good. And it's also another crisp and refreshing beer. Could just be the hot, sticky weather that's making me say that about all of these, but then again, these are specifically made to be enjoyed in the summer. It comes out every summer, so that's probably a goal of the breweries as well. But overall, a very delicious beer. I'm actually going to hit this one with a 3.5 out of 5. I am more partial to the hoppy beers, and it also is an above average beer in terms of the texture, the flavor, the aroma, and everything else. So, pardon. I'm enjoying it a little bit more than the table beer there, the Sweet Sunny South. Yeah, I don't know why these ones aren't sticking with me. Probably because there are multiple words in each name, and I'm trying to memorize both the name of the beer and the style. But yeah, the Sweet Sunny South, I wasn't enjoying that quite as much as this one, but I think a lot of that has to do with the hoppiness. So, so far 2 pretty solid beers out of the pack. I'm going to finish this one up and move on. Alright, we are up to beer number 3, the West Latitude Session Rye. Oh, that is a nice dark brown. But not completely dark. I can still see through this. This is also a nice, effervescent, very bubbly beer. A lot of these have been very effervescent, all 3 of them so far, actually. Not just a lot of them, but all of them. The way the carbonation in the beer rests in the glass, it actually reminds me a lot of a cola or a soda. So I can still see through this beer. So it's not too dark, but it is nice and brown. Darker, of course, where it gets thinner. But not cloudy at all. There's actually a little bit of a hop aroma coming off of that. Definitely getting a lot of the rye in the aroma as well. It's that rye bread type of aroma. It smells very, very similar to a nice loaf of rye bread, but more subtle. That should be interesting. Again, another beer with a nice medium light mouthfeel. Well, so far, all three of these very, very easy to drink, very smooth. Also quite crisp and refreshing, just like the others. So a lot of these beers, well, all three of these beers so far have a lot of characteristics in common. Having a nice medium light mouthfeel, being crisp and refreshing and easy to drink. All great summer beers. This one's got a bit of a harsher taste to it. It's a bit maltier. That rye has given it a nice strong backbone. Even though it's got a nice medium light mouthfeel, it's got more substance to it. I'm going to give this one another 3.5 out of 5, just because I'm enjoying the heavier, well, not really a heavier mouthfeel, but just the heavier, darker taste to it. And there's a little bit of overall hoppy bitterness. Maybe some earthy and pine notes in there, but nothing too outstanding. So, you know, a 3.5 out of 5, just because I'm enjoying it a little bit more than some of the other beers, but it was just nice, crisp, and easy to drink, and very refreshing, but not really standing out in any particular way, shape, or form for me. So I'm going to finish this one up and come back for number 4. Alright, beer number 4. Stout of the Union, Robust Stout. I always love a good stout. Nice and dark, but actually a bit brown as I pour it out. Quite an effervescent stout. Now this is the first one that hasn't really effervesced like a soda. Although there are some smaller bubbles clinging to the sides of the glass. This one is the first one that looks a lot more like a beer. And it is dark enough to not be able to see through it. So that's nice. It's an indicator that this is going to be a nice heavy stout. And some nice roasted coffee, chocolatey notes coming off of the aroma. Not much of anything else. Bit of a medium heavy mouthfeel. Heavier than the others, which is to be expected from a robust stout. But not exceedingly heavy. It's actually going down very smooth. I'm getting a lot of those roasted notes. The chocolate and the coffee subtlety that I was getting in the aroma isn't really coming through in the taste. It's mostly just an overall roastedness. Hitting this one with a 3.5 out of 5. It's nice, easy to drink, very smooth. Got that nice heavy stout mouthfeel to it, and the taste is definitely a nice stout. It is kind of on the lighter side of the stouts for me, especially something that's labeled as a robust stout. I was expecting something a lot heavier and a lot more malty, kind of like an oatmeal stout. But still a great, better than average beer. Just again, nothing really specifically jumping out and distinguishing itself for me from this one. No particular tastes or aromas or anything like that that's really making it different or stand out in the field, but definitely an above average, easy drinking, robust stout. So very delicious. I'm going to finish this one up and we'll move on to number 5. Alright, on to beer number 5. We have Family Values Imperial Brown Ale. So I like Imperials, but they can kind of go either way. A good Imperial is going to be nice and smooth, but your average Imperial is going to have a very sour taste to it. And sour is the closest thing I can equate it to, but you definitely taste that high alcohol by volume characteristic in the beer is a unique and, like I said, sourness, but really it's a unique flavor that the word sour is the closest thing to categorize it as. If you've had a lot of Imperials, or even one or two, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't tried one, try one. Try an Imperial Stout, a Russian Imperial Stout, an Imperial Brown, an Imperial IPA. You'll get what I'm talking about really quickly after drinking an Imperial beer. And an Imperial really just seems to indicate a high alcohol by volume beer. I'm sure there's something that goes on with the brewing process that classifies it as an Imperial, but that's really the biggest characteristic on them, because they can encompass any style and a wide variety of flavors and characteristics. It is a nice dark beer. It's actually a little bit lighter than the robust stout. So, hoping I got these lined up right. Like I said, the Imperial tends to overpower some of the characteristics of the stout. So palate-wise, I'm pretty sure I've got them in the right order. So far, I've been right on that. So this is the second one that I was actually questioning. So we're gonna find out. I can not see through it. For the most part, I can see the shadow of my finger right now, and that's something to be said for that. It's not completely opaque. It is still somewhat translucent, but just barely. And it does have a nice, where the beer is thinner down here, it does have a nice brown sheen to it. I mean, when you get up to the thicker part of the glass, you definitely can't see through it, but down here you can. Like I said, a bit of roastiness coming off of that. A slight tinge of the high ABV. You can kind of tell when you get into the aroma. It's got a high alcohol content. Other than that, not much. Just a bit of roastiness. And like I said, a really slight tinge of that high ABV aroma. Quite smooth as far as Imperials go. Just that's on the back end, a bit of that negative high ABV flavor that I come to associate with them. But again, it's on the back end and it's very slight. It's a very smooth beer, all things considered. I was looking at that word Imperial, focusing on that and thinking that it was going to be a little bit harsh. It's making me wonder what the actual alcohol by volume on this beer is. 8.5, so it's right up there, and not tasting too much like it is. It's got a bit of a medium mouthfeel. And some slightly roasted notes coming through in the flavor as well. Maybe a touch of hoppy bitterness in the finish. Again, just a very smooth, very easy to drink beer. Honestly, I'm going to push this one up to a 4 out of 5. Mostly because it's an Imperial coming in at 8.5% alcohol by volume that doesn't taste like a high ABV, Imperial. It's a lot smoother than I've come to expect from a beer with those characteristics. I mean, other than that, nothing really spectacular jumping out at me. So it's a good beer, it's very smooth, but the fact that it is one of the smoother Imperials I've had is really pushing it up to a 4 out of 5, because it is impressing me in that regard. So I'm going to finish this one. where it's got the higher alcohol by volume, I might take a little bit more time than I did with the others. But I will be back for beer number 6, the 6th and final one in this variety pack. Alright, and we come to the 6th and final beer variety in this year's Beer Camp Variety Pack from Sierra Nevada Brewing, Beer Camp Across America. Lots of collaboration brews in collaboration with breweries across America, oddly enough. Hey, by the way, this is Moxie Moron Imperial Session IPA. Now, I'm not sure if Moxie, spelled Moxee, has some connotation that I'm not familiar with, because every other time I've seen it spelled as Moxie, whether you're talking about the awful motor oil tasting soft drink from Maine, or just, he's got Moxie. So I might have to look into that more. Moxee, Moxie Moron Imperial Session IPA. Now, a couple of things in the name of that beer tell you why this came in on the last slot for tasting. It is an Imperial IPA, so it's going to have a heavier alcohol by volume. It's actually at 7.5%, which puts it around the same as some other IPAs that aren't listed as Imperials. So I might have to look into that more and find out what the Imperial actually means, other than a high alcohol content for a beer. But it's also listed as the only IPA in the pack. Now, there's a pale ale, but an IPA, an India Pale Ale, is more heavily hopped. A little bit of trivia for you. The hops were originally added to an India Pale Ale so that it would act as a preservative from the trip from Great Britain to the colonies in India. And that's where we get the IPAs from. Hops were originally added as a preservative, and then we started getting back into that whole thing for the flavor. Anyway, that's beside the point. Back to a very, very effervescent beer, similar to most of the ones in this variety pack. Not quite looking like a soda. This one looks like a beer, but lots and lots of bubbles. It's pretty clear, pretty light, and pretty effervescent. This should be interesting. Lots of hoppy bitterness in the head, in the aroma. Maybe a touch of citrus. And some earthy notes. Nothing more specific than that. Medium light mouthfeel. Fairly light, but still a tad heavy. Up front, very crisp and refreshing. Easy to drink, but then the aftertaste is just all hoppy bitterness. And I'm getting piney notes, citrus notes, and earthy notes. So that that citrus and earth that I got in the aroma is actually overpowered by a bit of, or a lot of pininess in the taste. Tad of citrus, but mostly pine and earth. Overall, not a bad beer. Easy to drink, crisp and refreshing. Once again, I'm going to put this one down at a 3.5 out of 5, which again puts it pretty much above average. Average on that scale being a 2.5. So 3.5. I'm putting this as an above average IPA. It's well rounded, well blended, but nothing really impressing me or blowing me away. Just several different hop notes and slightly different in the taste than in the aroma, but not a huge wow factor from this beer. But really good. I like IPAs, so I'm loving this one, but not really just impressed or blown away by it. It was definitely a good solid above average though. So that's the 12 pack and the 6 varieties in that. Definitely pick one up. Hit me up in the comments or the email link down below. I want to know if you agree or disagree with my ratings and assessments on any of these particular beers, or my lineup choice. If I should have tasted these in a different order, let me know if you agree or disagree. I love debating this stuff, but nobody ever takes me up on it. So, except my friends, who I talk to face to face. But at any rate, 2016 Beer Camp Across America Variety Pack from Sierra Nevada and 30 other breweries. Pardon. Pick it up and check it out. They're all delicious, and they're all great summer beers. But wait, there's more! That's right, I just Billy Maysed your ass. Not a part of the 12-pack variety pack for this year's Sierra Nevada Beer Camp, we have this individual brew, the Tropical IPA. Also a part of the Beer Camp 2016 series, but not sold in the variety pack, only sold separately. We're going to check that out on top of the variety pack. So as far as I know, you're getting the entirety of the Beer Camp lineup all at once. Now, there may be some other beers coming, or there may be some that I missed because they didn't necessarily carry them at my local beer store. But as far as I know, that's all of Beer Camp 2016. It's a bit of an amber-colored beer. Very effervescent, reminiscent of the first few beers in the 12-pack. Lots and lots of bubbles, slightly cloudy, but very effervescent. Not necessarily reminiscent of a soda, but just a very bubbly beer. Bit of hoppy bitterness in the aroma. I'm not nailing down any specific notes or subtle aromas, just an overall hoppy bitterness in general. Maybe a bit of spiciness there, but other than that, nothing specific. Medium light mouthfeel. Like I said, reminiscent of some of the earlier beers in the taste lineup from the 12-pack. Just very crisp and refreshing and delicious, and overall, a very well-rounded IPA. It's very light, crisp, and delicious. It's refreshing. It's cooling. And it's actually kind of cooling as it rolls down off the tongue and down the throat. I'm trying to pick up on some specific flavor notes here, but just there's an overall hoppy bitterness. Pretty decent malt backbone on it. Nothing really specific jumping out. Maybe a bit of citrus. And they mentioned that spiciness, but it's almost a peppery aftertaste. I don't mean like a hot peppery aftertaste, like a black peppery aftertaste. Overall, a pretty solid beer, but I'm going to put this down to 3 out of 5. Let's bump it up to a 3.5. Based on drinkability alone, it's hitting a 3.5. It's above average beer overall. It's a great IPA, but there's nothing really jumping out at me here that's impressing me. That peppery flavor, like I said, black pepper, not spicy pepper, is a little bit different, but it's not pronounced enough. 7 beers later and I'm getting the hiccups. Like some fucking cartoon character from the 1930s. Just put the little bubble above my head. It'll be obvious that I'm inebriated. Anyway, like I said, black peppery, spicy peppery, not hot spicy peppery. I'm gonna put this at 3.5 out of 5. It's different and unique in terms of that pepperiness, but not. That's a very subtle flavor. Overall, it's a very much above average, well-rounded IPA, crisp and delicious, light, and great for summer drinking. So, the Beer Camp Across America Variety Pack this year hasn't produced anything that really blows me away or makes me say wow, but a lot of very solid, delicious beers, and a couple of standouts. They're all above average. Sierra Nevada never disappoints. They always make some great beers, and in collaboration with other breweries across America, that comes together really, really nicely. So you will not be disappointed by this 12 pack, and you will definitely not be disappointed by the Tropical IPA standalone. Drink them all. Hit me up down in the comments, the email link down below. Let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with my assessment on any of these beers? Did you pick up on different flavors or tastes or aromas or any other characteristics that I missed or that you think I'm wrong about? Let me know. I want to discuss it with you. Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.